The only way the problem does get fixed is if both parties sit down and they say, how are we going to make sure that we're reducing our deficit sensibly? How are we making sure that we're investing in things like rebuilding our airports and our roads and our bridges? And investing in early childhood education, basic research, all the things that are going to help us grow? And that's what the American people want. Just one interesting statistic when it comes to airports. There was a recent survey of the top airports in the country in the world. And there was not a single US airport that came in the top 25. Not one. Not one US airport was considered. By the experts and consumers who use these airports to be in the top 25 in the world. I think Cincinnati Airport came in around 30th. What does that say about our long-term competitiveness and future? And so when folks say, well, there was some money in the FAA to deal with these furloughs, well, yeah, the money is the spool of funds that are supposed to try to upgrade our airports. So we don't rank in the bottom of industrialized countries when it comes to our infrastructure. And that's what we're doing, we're using our seed corn short term. And the only reason we're doing it is because right now we've got folks who are unwilling to make some simple changes to our tax code, for example. To close loopholes that aren't adding to our competitiveness and aren't helping middle-class families. So that's a long way of answering your question. But the point is that there are common sense solutions to our problems right now. I cannot force Republicans to embrace those common sense solutions. I can urge them to. I can put pressure on them. I can rally the American people around those common sense solutions. But ultimately, they, themselves, are going to have to say, we want to do the right thing. And I think there are members certainly in the Senate right now. And I suspect members in the House as well, who understand that deep down. But they're worried about their politics. It's tough. Their base thinks that compromise. With me is somehow a betrayal. They're worried about primaries. And I understand all that. And we're going to try to do everything we can to create a permission structure for them. To be able to do what's going to be best for the country. But it's going to take some time. Bill Plant. Question, Mr. President, as you're probably aware, there's a growing hunger strike on Guantanamo Bay among prisoners there. Is it any surprise really that they would prefer death rather than have no end in sight to their confinement? President Obama, well, it is not a surprise to me that we've got problems in Guantanamo. Which is why when I was campaigning in 2007 and 2008, and when I was elected in 2008, I said we need to close Guantanamo. I continue to believe that we've got to close Guantanamo. Question, can do it? President Obama, well. I think it is critical for us to understand that Guantanamo is not necessary to keep America safe. It is expensive. It is inefficient. It hurts us in terms of our international standing. It lessens cooperation with our allies on counter-terrorism efforts. It is a recruitment tool for extremists. It needs to be closed. Now, Congress determined that they would not let us close it, and despite the fact that there are a number of the folks who are currently in Guantanamo who the courts have said could be returned to their country of origin or potentially a third country. I'm going to go back at this. I've asked my team to review everything that's currently being done in Guantanamo. Everything that we can do administratively. And I'm going to re-engage with Congress to try to make the case that this is not something that's in the best interest of the American people. And it's not sustainable. The notion that we're going to continue to keep over 100 individuals in a no man's land in perpetuity. Even at a time when we've wound down the war in Iraq, we're winding down the war in Afghanistan. We're having success defeating Al-Qaeda core. We've kept the pressure up on all these transnational terrorist networks. When we've transferred detention authority in Afghanistan, the idea that we would still maintain forever a group of individuals who have not been tried. That is contrary to who we are, it is contrary to our interests, and it needs to stop. Now, it's a hard case to make because I think for a lot of Americans the notion is out of sight, out of mind. And it's easy to demagogue the issue. That's what happened the first time this came up. I'm going to go back at it because I think it's important. Question, meanwhile we continue to force feed these folks. President Obama, I don't want these individuals to die. Obviously, the Pentagon is trying to manage the situation as best as they can. But I think all of us should reflect on why exactly are we doing this? Why are we doing this? We've got a whole bunch of individuals who have been tried who are currently in maximum security prisons around the country. Nothing has happened to them. Justice has been served. It's been done in a way that's consistent with our Constitution. Consistent with due process, consistent with rule of law, consistent with our traditions. The individual who attempted to bomb Times Square in prison, serving a life sentence. The individual who tried to bomb a plane in Detroit in prison, serving a life sentence. A Somali who was part of Al-Shabaab, who we captured in prison. So we can handle this. And I understand that in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, with the traumas that had taken place, why, for a lot of Americans, the notion was somehow that we had to create a special facility like Guantanamo and we couldn't handle this in a normal, conventional fashion. I understand that reaction. But we're now over a decade out. We should be wiser. We should have more experience in how we prosecute terrorists. And this is a lingering problem that is not going to get better. It's going to get worse. It's going to fester. And so I'm going to, as I said before, Examine every option that we have administratively to try to deal with this issue. But ultimately we're also going to need some help from Congress, and I'm going to ask some folks over there who care. About fighting terrorism, but also care about who we are as a people to step up and help me on it. Chuck Todd. Question, Mr. President, thank you. Max Baucus, Democratic Senator. Referred to the implementation as your healthcare law as a potential train wreck. And other Democrats have been whispering nervousness about the implementation and the impact, and it's all self-centered a little bit, the impact that it might have on their own political campaigns. In 2014. Why do you think? Just curious, why does Senator Baucus, somebody who ostensibly helped write your bill, believe that this is going to be a train wreck? And why do you believe he's wrong? President Obama, well, I think that any time you're implementing something big, there's going to be people who are nervous and anxious about is it going to get done, until it's actually done. But let's just step back for a second and make sure the American people understand what it is that we're doing. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, has now been with us for 3 years. It's gone through Supreme Court tests. It's gone through efforts to repeal. A huge chunk of it has already been implemented. And for the 85 to 90% of Americans who already have health insurance, they're already experiencing most of the benefits of the Affordable Care Act, even if they don't know. their insurance is more secure. Insurance companies can't drop them for bad reasons. Their kids are able to stay on their health insurance until they're 26 years old. They're getting free preventive care. So there are a whole host of benefits that, for the average American out there, for the 85 to 90% of Americans who already have health insurance, this thing has already happened. And their only impact is that their insurance is stronger, better. More secure than it was before. Full stop. That's it. They don't have to worry about anything else. The implementation issues come in for those who don't have health insurance, maybe because they have a pre-existing condition, and the only way they can get health insurance is to go out on the individual market. And they're paying 50% or 100% more than those of us who are lucky enough to have group plans. People who are too poor to get health insurance and the employers don't offer them. Maybe they work for a small business and this small business can't afford right now to provide health insurance. So all the implementation issues that are coming up are implementation issues related to that small group of people. "10 to 15% of Americans now, it's still 30 million Americans. But a relatively narrow group who don't have health insurance right now. Or are on the individual market and are paying exorbitant amounts for coverage that isn't that great.